When we think of Tejano music here, we look at iconic individuals that have really shaped the music genre, and one always comes to mind, not just because she's the mother of Tejano music, but she was one who really helped to move it forward. Lydia Mendoza, which was born right here in Houston, Texas in 1916, would go on to have a long career, 7+ decade career in Tejano music, including recording at the age of 12 back in 1928 with her family, La Familia Mendoza. They were recording all throughout and traveling all throughout the state of Texas and the northern part of Mexico. The Tejano music is absolutely something that is unique to our region. And more importantly, she would go on to become a legend in this area. She would record her most famous song, Mal Hombre, in 1934 as a single, a solo by herself.
Her father took her to this theater in Monterrey, Nuevo León. And that's where she had the song Mal Hombre, which she had on a gum wrapper, the lyrics to it. But she had no idea how the melody went. And here she saw this woman singing on the theatrical stage in Monterrey this exact song. And she immediately took out her gum wrapper and memorized how the song goes. It's a tango. And we've always been wondering how she had the nerve as a young teenager to perform the song as her very first solo recording. And it became her absolutely monster hit.
I know that she touched a lot of people with this song. It had a lot of meaning. Mal hombre, it has to do with in English, it's translated to evil man. It's about a man who breaks a woman's heart, a woman who loved this man dearly and he cheated on her. That was a strong song to sing in those days.
When I would see her sing that song, I saw how much people loved it and wanted it. That was her main song that people would request.
I mean, when you've got a career that spans over 7 decades, 70+ years of recording, going back as early as 1928 at age 12, you have some iconic milestones. For example, she would go on to record with Bluebird Records, a subsidiary of RCA Records.
And Lydia had made records for every label in the book.
That kind of music, it absolutely sticks with you. This haunting, beautiful melody of Tejano music of the earlier days, and she was famous for playing her guitar.
The kind of singing that Lydia did, which was this very natural voice, and on her wonderful 12-string guitar, that was just totally unheard of at that time.
Her vocal range was extensive. It was incredible.
Her voice is very unique because it's got a deep tone and you can feel that it comes from the heart.
This 12-string guitar, it was a lot louder than a regular guitar, and it had much a richer sound. It just gave you a full-bodied sound that wasn't available on the 6-string guitar.
She would go on to have a really strong impact, in fact, all over the country, and she would cross borders. We look at the northern part of Mexico, Los Rancheros and the Tejano folks that lived in that area, and of course the southern part of Texas. But even as far up as Detroit, her and her family were living in Detroit. You look at places like Detroit and Chicago, especially in that time period, what do you have up there? Jobs. Hard-working industrial jobs that needs a strong labor population. Well, these labor folks, they need music to rally around. And when you're that far up north, to have something like Tejano music to remind you about the place you come from, boy, that just really kind of connects. So she would pack them in those cities as well, because there was the connection to the music that people yearned for and longed for.
Her mom and her dad, which is my great-grandmother, my great-grandfather, and my great-uncle and aunts, they all were musicians. They were a quartet. They used to travel around in the cotton fields and sing for poor people, and that's how my grandmother grew up.
She came from very simple, humble family with no money.
They had strong, hard days out there and nothing going on but hard labor. And so to bring some kind of joy and smile to them, that made their day.
Well, Lydia simply appealed to the common people, not just the upper classes. Lydia thought what they were singing with the family was wonderful, They just used their natural voices.
Growing up with Grandma, and we used to call her Mama because that's what she was to us. She would always be cooking for the family, and the weekends when we drive up to Houston to visit her, she always made sure that every one of us was fed. We were such a big family. And what brought her joy was to see all of us together in unity.
The kitchen was just like this Mendoza restaurant going on in there.
She was very famous to us with her cooking.
I didn't really meet Lydia Mendoza until Les Blank and I, finally agreed to make this film that eventually turned out to be Chulas Fronteras. I'd, of course, heard about her because I'd been interested in what I call Mexican border music or South Texas music for quite some time. I knew that she was one of the important people right from the start. We filmed Lydia in her kitchen that was all in Houston, Texas. As she said in our film, when I sing a song, I live that song.
Yo siento lo que estoy cantando, si es un corrido, parece que yo lo estoy sintiendo. Eso es mi sentir de cada canción que yo canto.
Her songs had a lot of meaning, a lot of heart went into those songs through her experiences, through her growing up.
She sang what she felt. And some of the songs were what she went through.
And she would go on to be honored in numerous ways, like in 1994 with the Tejano Music Hall of Fame, and then in 1999 with the National Medal of the Arts by President Bill Clinton.
And that's one of the highest awards that you can achieve in the arts.
Aretha Franklin was there. Steven Spielberg was there. She was honored with these folks, these well-known artists.
She played actually at the 1977 Jimmy Carter inauguration. That was a really big deal, not just for her and for the folks watching, but for the Latino community to see somebody that represents them in their music on a national global stage. That was a big deal.
She's inducted in the Smithsonian Institute in Washington. She's got a spot there in the folkloric section.
But I think what was probably something that most people know her from as well is probably the 2013 postage stamp. You know you arrived when you got a U.S. postage stamp with your likeness and your iconic memory.
And she continues to receive honors, and it's really amazing. And I know she'd be so happy and thrilled to even know that people still remember her.
Sadly, we lost Lydia Mendoza. We lost her at the wonderful age of 91 years old.
She passed away, my grandmother, in December 20th of 2007. And she's buried here in San Antonio, Texas. It was a very great loss. We were very sad to lose her, but she lived a great life.
I just miss her dearly. I miss her, and I wish she was here. I know she'd be very surprised to see that people still love her.
We all know those other iconic figures in Tejano and Tejano music, but when you think about the legacy of Lydia Mendoza and you learn about her legacy, you're going to realize she was the first, and the way that she did it mattered, and she absolutely paved the way for everybody else afterwards.
She was the one and only queen of Tejano music, and she had this amazing wide repertoire. No other singer has ever come close to that variety of material and her style of singing and presentation. I don't think there ever will be another one like Lydia Mendoza.
She was one in a million, my grandmother. She was a really true artist and deserving of a lot of recognition, and I'm glad that she's still being recognized today.
Her legacy really stands out because it shows that she's a pioneer. She was the first Latina to make it big the way she did.
She was your all-around woman, just gracious in every way. And we miss her and we love her.
No hay consuelo ni esperanza para mí.